Awesome. We're going to rest from our journey when we get home. Good evening, Saints. It's wonderful to see all those of you who have joined with us this evening. We want to say welcome to Parent Supporting Parent, and I'm happy to have Vicki Clark and the team online and ready to go. But before we start, this is what you're going to do for me. Hit that like button, hit that share button. Let's get some more folks on the line. Let them know that good things are going on and they don't want to miss it. Bow your heads with me as we invite God's presence. Father, thank you so much for Vicki and the team. We pray now that you will come and direct what we do and bless those who join us today. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. So today, Vicki is going to be talking about parent and child conflict. Isn't that awesome? Something that we really need to talk about. Sister Vicki, good evening. You are live. How are you today?
I am doing incredible. Thank you so much for asking.
Awesome.
And I'm excited to be here tonight, Pastor Williams. Thank you for your support. Do you believe that this is the third in a series of the Parent Supporting Parents? This is the third in a series. We had a wonderful time last week and then the week before. So if you've missed any of the series, what you can do is go to hopesdatv.org and click on live stream, and you'll be able to see the two previous segments that we had. Last week, we were talking about raising Black boys, and then we launched it with parents taking care of themselves, a self-care plan. So I am super excited tonight because of the third series, and I'm super excited because of our guests that we have. And before I get to our guests, as Pastor Williams talked about, we are going to be dealing with unpacking that whole child-parent expectations, specifically as it focuses on conflict. So I know that this is going to be a great conversation. I have some of my favorite people here. You say, Vicki, you've been saying that every week. No, this is true. I have some of my favorite people here tonight. And what I'm going to ask them to do is to introduce themselves, because that's what we've been doing, is have them tell their story about who they are, a little bit about their background, and how they're related to the various people in tonight's segment. So, Narelle, why don't we start with you?
Okay, my name is Narelle Ferguson. I live here in the Hartford, Connecticut area. I am an interior designer by profession, but I'm also in school. I go to UConn as a grad student. And Max Ferguson is my dad.
All right, thank you. Parrish?
Hi, how's everybody doing? My name is Parrish Smith. Lifelong resident of Hartford, still live here in the Northeast neighborhood. What I do is I'm a community organizer for residential engagement at Blue Hill Civic Association.
Thank you so much. Latte?
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Latte Smith. I'm originally from Yonkers, New York. Now I reside here in Hartford. Been here now since 2006. I have worked in different areas throughout the community. Now I am working in the North End Senior Center. That's an extension of the Blue Hill Civic Association.
Thank you so much. And who you related to, Latte?
Oh, and my son is Parrish Smith.
I forgot to say that.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Max Ferguson. I'm a pastor, I'm a chaplain, a father, a husband. In 2001, my family moved to Hartford, the Hartford, Connecticut area, living in Bloomfield. And between Bloomfield and East Granby, we spent about 17 years there. I'm the father of 3 children. They grew up basically in Connecticut. They consider themselves Connecticonians, if there is ever such an expression or a title. And Narelle is my oldest daughter, and I have 2 sons. My oldest child, I only have 1 daughter.
One daughter.
I have 2 sons.
Thank you so much. So I think this is an interesting dynamic because we have a mother and son and a father and daughter that will be interacting and sharing tonight. And so the first question that I have for you, and this is a free for all, anyone can jump in. Can conflict happen and even the best parent-child relationship, can conflict still occur?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I definitely think so. And I think what people need to realize is that conflict isn't always like this huge like argument or like pervasive. You know, conflict can be something as simple as just like a disagreement. So I think conflict is inevitable, no matter what relationship it is.
Okay.
If you're in a relationship, there will be conflict. If you want no conflict, then don't be in relationship with anyone, which is not how we've been made. So there will be conflict, and I agree with Paris that that element of conflict, and it doesn't have to be what we often think of knockdown, drag out kind of things, because conflict comes also because we are unique individuals. No two of us are alike, and even though you know, we are our parents' children and our children came from us, they are not like us. And so they have their own unique personalities, they will have their own viewpoints, and so that will lend itself to conflict.
Wow. Anybody else want to add to that?
Yes, conflict is really, it starts from the very beginning, from childhood. The children challenge you. It starts from young. So, you know, it's just basically how you build a relationship that you can handle the strengths of a conflict, basically.
All right then.
Yeah, I would agree. Conflict comes in many forms. It's not always a big argument. It could be as easily as fussing with somebody, like, "Oh, you didn't do this." So, oops, sorry. Or maybe it's something else that needs to be taken care of. But like it was said before, conflict is just a part of relationships. You can't really avoid it.
Okay, thank you. So Parrish said that it's inevitable. I think I heard him say that. I think I heard Max say that too. And I heard the general consensus is not a knockdown, drag out battle. It could be just a disagreement. Give me other examples of how conflict can manifest itself, what conflict would look like in normal parent-child relationships. So Parrish, I'm gonna have you start again. What might that look like?
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said earlier, you know, it doesn't always have to be like this huge thing. You know, conflict can range from something as small as like me not liking the color of the curtains that my mom put up in the kitchen. It could be something like that. Or, you know, in different situations, it can be like these huge arguments between, you know, parent and child. Yeah.
Okay, so I want our viewers to understand by giving examples that maybe what they're experiencing is very normal. So Narelle, what would you add? What other ways could conflict be manifested? What else could it look like?
I think conflict between a parent and child changes as you get older. Definitely as a child or a teenager, conflict usually comes in, oh, you didn't do your chores, you didn't do your homework, you got in trouble at school. That's more common when you're in your younger years. As you become more into your older teens and become more of an adult, conflict can be, I do not agree with this life decision you have made. I'm questioning your judgment. I think what conflict looks like between parent and child definitely changes as the child gets older.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Okay, parents, what say ye?
Well, if you recall, what's one of the first words that a kid would use? No. That's and so conflict can be over what you eat. I remember a president of the United States says he's not eating broccoli anymore because it was a source of conflict between him and his mother, and she made him eat broccoli. And so it could be what you dress, how you dress, or what clothes you put on, and when. TV shows, today's screen time. That could be a source of conflict. And then as you grow older, friends, the choices of friends that you have.
All right. Thank you. Ade, did you want to add?
Conflict, once again, like I said before, it starts from young. Like he said, piggybacking off of what Ferguson said, the first word they say to you is no. So, and it grows, and they're in school when they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. That also can be big conflict as far, again, once again, as they friends, the choices that they make in their lives is coming up. They friends they choose. Just a simple thing is take out the garbage. You got to tell them 4-5 times to take out the garbage. Then they get an attitude. Why are you getting an attitude for? When I told you got to get mad at yourself. You can't get mad at me. I've been told you to take that garbage. So it's it ranges.
You're describing somebody else's experience, right? I'm pretty sure. Okay. All right. Then I just wanted to check.
So it ranges. Conflicts. It comes in numerous decisions throughout life.
I want to delve a little deeper into that by sharing with you, and I don't even have to share it with you. You probably all heard about it. So we know that Kirk Franklin and his son had a conflict, and it just went all over social media. My question, I want to start with Narelle and Parrish, because I want to hear from your perspective as well first. So what do you think could be put in place so that conflict between an adult child and parent doesn't escalate till it becomes like the front page news? What can be done, Narelle?
I think the most important thing to establish in a parent-child relationship is communication, but that has to be established from the beginning, essentially. You can't not have an open communication. You can't not have open communication with your child, and then one day you suddenly want to have it. That's something that you have to be practicing over a long period of time. And once that is established, people are more open to share their feelings. And, if you say something, it might not, or it won't get shut down, it won't be disregarded. So to me, I think just hearing about that particular situation, just having open communication is really important. And then you won't feel like you have to broadcast it to show that you're right or the other person is wrong. That's something that can be resolved just between the two of you.
Wow. Thank you for that. Parrish?
Yeah, with that whole situation, I think, that could have definitely been handled before it even got to that point. Like, I was listening to it and, they're both cussing at each other and, escalating the situation more than it has to be escalated, and then, I was listening to something afterward and I heard that there was like history of like a family counselor. So that definitely goes to show you what Narelle said, that communication is key, but also just being able to, de-escalate and being able to be assertive, but not offensive and not have to, use all that cussing and all that. Yeah, that situation was crazy.
Wow. Okay, parents, do you want to add anything before I go on?
Yes, I was going to say with that whole situation, it boils, like you said, our children said, it boils down to communication. You could tell in that whole situation that communication was cut off for a long time. It's very sad that it had to get to that point. I think communication both lacked on both parts. They both shut down on each other. And in order for, I guess, the son to get attention from Kurt, he took it to social media. And, it just blew out proportion, and it's sad. That was a sad situation. It really was, but it was a lack of communication along the way. They just shut down on each other. And that's one thing that between a parent and child, communication should always be open. You know,
Mm.
should always be open. And you have to, even as parents, we are not perfect. That's
Mhm.
what we are not perfect, but we have to learn to listen to our children.
Wow.
We have to learn to listen to them because we can learn from them.
Mm. Wow. We can learn from them.
I think that, and I am aware of the situation, but not of the details of it. So I must acknowledge that. However, this is, and it's sad that it got to that place, but it may well be a teachable moment for many of us, many parents, and children also, young adults, that there are still some things that need to stay private unless both parties agree that it should come out. Shaming never works. Just shaming creates more damage to the relationship and can even make it at times irreparable.
Mm.
And social media has never, because here's the thing. You and your child may reconcile,
Mm-hmm.
but then there are other people who will carry on that thing against you or the child
Yep.
for ad nauseum,
Mm-hmm.
because they may not know that it has been, things have changed, or they hold you to that one fatal mistake that you made. And like Lade says, parenting is something that we have to learn and grow into.
Yeah.
No one has a parenting handbook.
Yeah.
The files got destroyed before they got saved. And so parents are a lot of times winging it.
Yes.
And also, I think I made may have made a similar point last week. One of the things that we have to do, both as parents and children, is to get a better grip on our emotions and our emotional life. Because I think Paris was talking about escalating things. Very often it's our emotions that induces us to escalate things, because we want to get the last word. We want to rebut something, and the more we allow emotions to take control, then the worse things can get. And so, part of the art of parenting, and some of this is hindsight. Part of the art of parenting is never stop learning to discover who you are as a parent, as a person, and to understand the things that make you do what you do.
Mm. Can we stay on that for a minute? Get a better grip on our emotions. So Parrish knows that one of the things that we do here at this organization, BHCA, is that we teach problem solving, or we try to teach problem solving and decision making. And that's one of the core competencies. And I always walk away thinking, wow, we don't need to be just doing this with youth. We need to be doing this with adults as well. Talk to us a little bit more about getting a grip on our emotions as parents and as adult children. What are some of the ways that we can do that?
I think, it falls just right back to communication. I think that's just, where it's at. And I was just going to touch on conflict resolution too, because I think that is just as important as the conflict itself. Because, with the whole Kirk Franklin situation, that whole thing spiraled out of control. Like, instead of going to social media, why didn't he go back to his dad and, try to fix things? So, yeah, I just think, conflict resolution is a huge piece.
So I'm hearing, Parrish, that I heard Max talk about the responsibilities, and I think Latte as well, that adults have. So you're saying as adult children that there's a responsibility that you have as well. And you could take that first step in going to that parent. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, either one. They're both adults at that point. You know,
Okay.
somebody has to be the bigger person and, you know, decide with themselves that they want to, you know, fix this.
Okay. So I want to lay a framework for parents and for adult children who are listening. What would be, if you had to give the ingredients to lay the foundation for a successful relationship that knows how to manage conflict? I've heard that open communication. I've heard that be able to de-escalate. I've heard you tell me to learn to listen to our children because you can learn something from them. I heard you say to get a better grip on your emotions and never stop learning who you are. What other things that would be key to laying a strong foundation so that when there is a conflict, you know, people are not throwing blows at one another. They're not cursing one another out. It's not hitting social media. What are some other keys to that strong foundation?
I think one thing that's important would be knowing when and how to admit that you were wrong, and that goes for both parents and children. It's hard to admit that you were wrong, but doing that will actually save a lot of problems.
Yeah.
So learning the art of saying, I'm sorry, I was wrong, I should have handled this differently, is definitely very important.
Wow. That's like the $1 million answer right there.
Yeah.
That's key. Okay. Anybody else want to jump in to respond to that?
I would also say that it would be useful to have some ground rules.
Okay.
One of the things that can be done, set some ground rules. When we have disagreements, this is how we will do it. From elevating voices to name calling, set some healthy ground rules. And when those rules are violated, people should be prepared to acknowledge that, like Norel was saying. I would also say that there should be some consistent, what I would call it, family meetings. Have regular family meetings where people are able to say things, talk about things that may come up. And the other thing I would say, and this is something that we did in our household, on Friday evenings at dinner, everyone had the opportunity to say something affirming to everybody around the table. Because when I know that you care, it's easier for me to take your criticism and your critique. If I don't know that you care, if I'm wondering about it, then I will take your criticism and critique more as a put down than as constructive. So show that you care and let that be the constant thing, that you care, so that when you have to have conflict, that this person should be playing in the background of their mind. This is someone who cares for me. This is someone who loves me, whether it's parent or child.
I really like that. I like the fact that you're establishing ground rules even before a conflict occurs. Okay, when we have a conflict, Vicki, this is what do you agree that we should follow these rules? You know, everybody has input. And then I like saying something on a regular basis to affirm each other, you know, during family meetings or during dinner or whatever. Those are huge. Okay. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I liked what he said. It was kind of like, what he said is kind of like what I was going to say. So, you know, there's setting those rules, but there's also respecting those rules and definitely respecting those boundaries. You know, you got to realize that on both sides, there's certain expectations for you as a parent or as a child.
Okay.
May I say one more thing? And I don't
Sure.
want to dominate the conversation, but I think this might be quite apropos. I grew up in a house, when I was a child, I grew up in a household where I dare not say anything.
Yes.
If
Was
I
it children
if
are
my
meant to be seen
breathing
and
seemed
heard?
to be off, I could be in trouble.
Mhm.
Max, was
And
it
so-
was that whole adage about children are meant to be seen and not heard? 'Cause that's what-
Exactly,
okay.
exactly. I don't know if we grew up in the same neighborhood, but you
Yes.
know. But and so talking back was an absolute no. So when I was raising my children, one of the things I said to them was, I don't mind if you talk back, just be respectful.
Mm.
Because, you know, really at the end of the day, as parents, ours is the privilege to raise,
Yeah.
educate, love, nurture, and prepare a person to become an adult.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
one of the struggles that I have is standing up and representing and defending myself because I've always been told, be quiet.
Mm.
And you cannot send that kind of kid out into the world today. They're going to get stomped.
Yes.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Yes.
That is awesome. Making that transition from how we were raised to saying, okay, when I become a parent, I'm going to make sure that I encourage my children to talk, to give feedback. They can say whatever they want to say, but there's always an element of respect that's expected. So Narelle talked about the fact that as children, different conflicts, you know, teenagers, different conflicts. But let's talk about as adult children. And I think I'm going to start with the parents here, Latte and Max. As adult children, you have a significant disagreement because of a decision that your adult child has made or is making. And Latte, I'll start with you. How would you handle that?
Well, basically, once again, it's communication, listening to them. And if you, throughout life, you know your child, you know what to expect from them because you already have set the ground for them. So, you know, as they get older, you have to respect their decisions. I mean, it might not be the decision that you say that you go along with. But like I said, once again, you know your child, and you raise them to know right from wrong. So therefore, you know, an example I'll use going when you're coming out of high school, graduating, and everybody would like to see their children to go on to college and graduate college. Some kids, they don't want to go to back to school right away. Mm-hmm. And it could be for many reasons why not. But you know, it's not you push the issue that yes, I want you to go on to school to continue on your education, but in the second chance, if they don't want to, you know, you lay down why they should, and you tell them, well, you know what? Okay, I understand, I respect your decision that you don't want to, but think about it. You know, then you just keep that door open. The communication in that area. So this way, and you don't continue to nag them, you know, because they are young adults. You know, sometimes you just have to let them go in their own way for a minute. They'll figure it out. If you raised your children right, they will eventually, they get what you're saying.
Okay. Wow.
So,
Max?
Yeah, and I would concur with what Lati said is sharing. And I'll say this: give your child the freedom to fail. None of us, no one is batting 1,000. All of us will make errors. And we have to give our children the space to make their own decisions. In fact, and I think Lati was saying this in our own way, when we have done our work, we're supposed to be preparing them for adulthood. So when they get to that place, let them be, understanding that we have prepared them as best as we know how, and let them understand that that you will always be there for them, irrespective of the choices. Because one of the things that you want to do is not to. We tend to. I will love you if you do what I say. That's that. And we have all of these conditional things, but we need to love them just because they are our children. We need to shower them with unconditional love. And sometimes it's in that space where they are allowed to fail and know that they have a support system that sometimes can help them get on their feet eventually and get to where they need to be. Sometimes they may need to go around the block a couple of times before they take off in the direction that they need to go. So, respect their choices, don't give up on them, and just love them.
So I'm going to be very transparent, and I know that I personally struggle with that one. Give your child the freedom to fail, because as a mother, I'm thinking about the hurt that they're going to experience. I'm thinking about the hard knocks that they're experiencing. And I want to save them from that. I mean, that's my natural tendency. Let me save you from that. Yeah. And so that is huge. Give your child the freedom to fail. Oh my, that's huge. That is huge. I'm going to ask you, I'm going to put you on the spot, parents, Latte and Max. How do you think you did in that area? Give yourself a grade, a letter grade. How do you think you did? And then Narelle and Parrish, I want you to agree or disagree with how they think they graded themselves. How do you think you did in that area?
Well, for me, if I had to give myself a grade, I would give myself a B. Okay. A B plus. And I say that too because with me and my kids, my daughter and my son, I've always left that grounds of communication open, even when they was little, to discuss the mistakes, not so much as to punish them for the mistakes that they did, but basically let them see how the mistakes affected them. And how they suffered from the mistakes that they made. So, for me, I mean, I'm hoping that Parrish would give me a or a B, but for me, I would give myself a B. I'll say a B plus.
Okay, and you said it with confidence. Okay, Max.
I'll stay in the B category. I let other people bump me up or because, but I know that in comparison with where I came from and what I went through, and it, like I said, it's a work in progress, and I had to learn a lot of things on my own. So there are things that I look back and I see where I failed, and there are things that I look back and see where I succeeded. My oldest son, on the day of his 17th birthday, we drove him from Connecticut to Rochester, New York, because he was determined to go to RIT. And he had gotten all the stuff but he wasn't really ready for that transition. And he spent his first year there, and eventually came back home and went to University of Hartford. And I mean, I have never tried to throw that in his face and say, well, you've wasted a year or whatever, or you could have done better and all that, because Nicholas. But so it's a learning process, and I But I'm glad of that it's not been static. Even though my children are adults now, young adults, it's still a growing thing. And I think, you know, Narelle will I think I know what she will say, but you know, guess I'm over here waiting with bated breath.
Yeah, so this was a question that I know no one was prepared for, so I had to sneak that in. Narelle, your father said he gives himself a B.
I would bump him up to like a B plus, A minus. We definitely had a couple, we've had some bumps, similar to my brother. I went away to school and then ended up coming back. That was an interesting transition. But I think overall, we did pretty all right.
Wow, good job, Max. Okay, Parrish, your mother gave herself a B plus.
Yeah, I'd probably bump her up too. Yeah, growing up, she was always like very supportive. And, you know, even though I was like a very, very, very hard-headed person, you know, I I thought I knew everything. You know, I thought I knew what was best for me. You know, she did a good job of, you know, supporting me, but also, you know, making sure to keep me going in the right direction. And, you know, she also helped me. She also gave me the ability to see the bigger picture. So, yeah. I give her an A. I give her an A.
I have to applaud you, parents, because both children bumped you up. That's awesome, and that's awesome validation. That's good to hear. So let's just start, Parrish and Narelle, for this question. So, would you say, or how does your relationship evolve with your parents so that it's no longer the little girl talking to daddy or the little boy talking to mommy? I mean, how does it evolve into where it's two adults talking to one another? And would I even dare say maybe from a friendship standpoint? So Narelle, what do you think?
I think it happens over time. I don't think I woke up one day, I was like, oh, my dad's my friend now. It definitely happened over time. I think for us specifically, it was definitely after I graduated from college. In that transition, I moved to Philadelphia. So I was away from home. And so it wasn't no longer, oh, what's for dinner? It's like, oh, how's it going? Like, how's school or work going? So it definitely happened over time. And again, it's a two-way street, and you have to be interested in what's happening in your child's life, because it's no longer, did you do your chores? Did you do your homework? It's more, okay, what's going on with you? What are you struggling with? Do you need any guidance on it, or about anything? So it definitely happened over, I would say, a period of a couple years before we fully transitioned. And yeah, now I would say my dad's probably one of my best friends. That sounds, but yeah, my dad's probably one of my best friends. So
very good. Okay, Max, as your head gets bigger and bigger. Parrish, how would you describe how your relationship with your mom has evolved? I mean, would you say it's two adults talking to one another? Would you say there's a friendship? How did that evolution transpire?
Yeah, it definitely, you know, when you're a child, you know, I think the parent has to be a lot more involved and assertive in your decision making, because you don't know necessarily what decisions to make at certain points, because you're at that point, you're not really equipped with what you need to make those decisions. But, you know, once you hit like a certain maturity, you know, I think it's the job of the parent to kind of step back and take like more of a supportive role. So yeah, you know, I wouldn't necessarily, like, I love my mom, you know, I wouldn't necessarily consider her a friend, because I still definitely have that strong parent respect for her. And, you know, I think that, you know, this is just me, you know, I can't really see her as that because of like how important she is to me.
Okay, wow. Any response, Latte and Max, about how you let go and then how you let that relationship evolve from the traditional historical parent-child relationship?
Yes, well, for me, just seeing from where Parish has grown to be at this point, um, to be honest, it was a little easy for me to step back and his as he's growing into adulthood, because he's very smart. He has a good head on his shoulder. Um, some things like I said, I still pinch him a little bit on certain things, but not to nag him, but basically just letting him know that, you know, I support you no matter what you do. So, and just basically always letting him know that the lines of communication is always open. If he needs something, if I see something or identify something that is not quite right, then, I'll say to him, you need to fix that, as a parent. Because no matter what, you're always going to be a parent, no matter what. I don't care how old they are. How old you're always going to be a parent. So it's all about support and just letting them know you're there for them, period.
Max?
I'll say a couple of things. First, you have to allow for a transition and be conscious about it, that, that this relationship will take on and allow for it to take on a different dimension as the child grows into adulthood, and that actually should be happening through the stages, from simple things when they're growing up. Allow them to make choices about what clothes they'll wear, and how they'll do their hair, and stuff like that. So allow for a transition, and when they do fun things together. Learn to laugh. Learn to it doesn't, when you get together, when you talk, when you interact, it doesn't have to be this parent-child thing. Have fun with your children. Expand what you talk about. Get comfortable talking about things, and and it's a two-way street. If they're no longer living with you, or whatever the case might be, it is a mutual responsibility to reach out to each other.
Wow.
This idea that, well, you're the child, therefore you're supposed to reach out to me, that's really crazy. You reach out, let them reach out. It's a mutual thing, because relationships are two ways. And if one person is showing by their actions that they don't want to be in relationship with you because they're not reaching out, they're not contacting, they're not, today you have so many different things. You can shoot a text, you can FaceTime, or you can go on WhatsApp and do a call, or there are lots of different things that you can do in keeping contact. And it needs to be a two-way thing, so that the young adult knows that you want to be in relationship with him or her, and the parent knows, yes, my child wants to stay in relationship with me. And so sometimes also as parents, we have to allow our children to take the lead with some things. We're not in charge anymore, and we don't need to keep acting as if we were in charge. Let it be make a conscious decision that it's a growing, transitioning relationship, and do fun things together and grow together.
Well, you know what? I'm always amazed at how quickly the time goes by. So this is what we're going to do in closing. I'm going to give each of you a minute. And so Max and Latte, you're going to talk to the adult children, the advice that you would give to adult children. to strengthen the relationship so that conflict can be successfully managed. And then around in Parish, you're going to talk to parents and give them advice on what they need to do so that if and when, because we said it's inevitable, conflict does occur, that they can do this in order to successfully manage the conflict and keep the relationship intact. So who wants to go? Okay, so you're talking to Narelle and Parish, the parents. Latte and Max, you're talking to the adult children.
Therefore, for me, it would be to be mindful, be respectful, listen. We are not going to tell you something that's going to lead you down the right path because we want you to succeed in life. Basically, we want our children to do better than we did. We want that for them. We don't want them following in the footsteps that we have done for what we have done for ourselves. We want to see them do better. So my thing would be just to listen. Sometimes it may not be what you want to hear because most of, nowadays, they're hard-headed. They don't want to listen, but just listen to your parents. They're not gonna send you astray. They want the best for you, and always be in a situation where to have a conversation with your parents, just be open.
Okay. All right.
Be open. Be open.
So you have a minute each. So Max?
All right. I don't know if this is going to be said, but I want to say it real quickly. And I know I'm supposed to be talking to the adult children, but I want to say something to parents for a brief minute. Talk to your children about your failures.
Ooh.
It gives you more credibility.
Oh.
So I'll let that marinate. But to the adult child, I would say state your expectations. What do you expect in this relationship now? Don't push it because you cannot make somebody be in a relationship with you if they don't want to. And I'll say something that Latte said, respect. No matter how grown you are, it's your parents. At minimum, show them respect. And even if you have to talk to them about something that's difficult and challenging where you have to call them out, do it in the most respectful way that you possibly can because they are your parents.
Wow. Narelle and Parish, who's going to go as you talk to adults, you wise adults?
Yeah, I'll start. I think for the parent, when you raise your child, raise them like for what Mr. Ferguson said, raise them to prepare them for adulthood, like raise them so they're able to one day, make their own decisions and, be able to make the right decision, what's going to benefit them and everybody else in a good way. Also, maintain like communication with your child, just talk about, anything, just communicate. Communicating is key to, what's going to, help the relationship last. And in the event that there is conflict, assertive, without offending them. It's a very thin line. So yeah, assertive, but don't offend.
Thank you so much. Narelle, you have the last say.
I guess I would start with how I started, open communication, talk about any and everything. Definitely do things together, whether it's going somewhere, going out to dinner, watching a movie, watching Netflix, just showing that you care and want to spend time with your child. This is definitely a big one. Trust the child that you raised.
Wow.
You know who you raised, and at some point you have to be able to say, okay, I know they have a good head on their shoulders. I know they're not crazy, even though I might not agree with this. I have to trust that they are making the right decision for them. Definitely when dealing with adult children, the parental role kind of shifts more to advice and guidance. Not, I don't want you to move there. Instead, like, oh, have you thought about this? I think that's more appropriate. Definitely something that I've learned over the past couple years is knowing more about your parents' backgrounds definitely helps to understand the person that you see today. So parents, don't be afraid to tell your children about your background. That's definitely a no-no by certain standards, but giving your adult children insight to who you are, how you grew up, and why you are the way that you are will definitely help them in terms of not only in conflict, but just regular open communication. And just how the parents said that adult children should respect their parents. Parents should also respect their adult children, acknowledge boundaries. It's not to be mean or rude or anything like that. It's just as an adult child, you do have separate life. So it's important that your parents, they can still be supportive, but not crossing the boundaries that you've set in place.
Wow, so we are out of time. This has been a rich conversation. I thank each of my guests for your feedback, Narelle and Max and Latte and Parrish. This has been rich. I've been taking copious notes because I'm going to go back and review, and I'm going to also put your suggestions and strategies on the Joy Facebook page, the Joy Mission Facebook page, because this has been awesome. And I'm going to share it with other parents as well who may have missed this segment tonight. I thank each of you for being transparent. I thank you for this wisdom that you shared. I even thank you for sharing personal experiences. And so I thank you so much. Next week, we are going to be talking about learning during a pandemic. Learning, maybe people weren't learning. So we're going to talk about that whole experience. What happened as young people tried to log in and to learn during a pandemic. So we're going to talk about what worked and what didn't work. So again, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you have a wonderful evening and God bless you all. Thank you. Pastor Williams,
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thanks, everybody. God